All right, third up, we have labor unrest in the Vatican. Here is a great irony about 2024 that on any countdown of the year's most covered Vatican stories, that is, the stories that generated the most ink, the most airtime, the most commentary, and so on, number one would have to be the Synod of Bishops on Synodality, the culmination of this 3-year process launched by Pope Francis that has involved not one, but 2 synods of bishops, although these are no longer synods of bishops. That implies it's largely a gathering of bishops. These are synods with bishops in the Pope Francis era that include also other male religious, both priests and brothers. It includes sisters and consecrated lay women, and it includes all kinds of lay people, and on and on. And so all of that came to a crescendo, a denouement this October, when you had this month-long final gathering of participants in the Synod to produce this final document. And, you know, the leitmotifs, the idée fixe, I'm channeling all kinds of $5 expressions and words today, but whatever. The key ideas of this final document and of this entire synodal process really were inclusion, dialogue, conversation. I mean, for God's sake, the symbol of the Synod was the round table, right? With cardinals and bishops and priests and nuns and lay people with no hierarchy, right? But where everyone was equal and everybody had a stake in the conversation. And yet, the people who were photocopying the documents for this Synod, the people who were sweeping up at night and making sure everything was good to go in the morning, the people who were preparing the coffee and the rolls, these Synod participants were guzzling down every day. In other words, the Vatican workforce, at the very same time, they were saying, hey, what about us? Okay, here's our situation. Our salaries are not indexed to inflation, so their purchasing power has been getting lower with every month that goes along. During COVID, our automatic pay increases due to seniority were suspended. For most of us, that's going to mean a $20,000 pay cut over the course of our careers. We're not getting overtime pay. Freezes on hiring means we all have to work longer and harder. And we just got told by the Pope that our pensions might not be there when we get old. So could we please have a conversation about this? The association that represents Vatican lay employees made repeated appeals to officials in the Vatican to sit down and talk with them. Those appeals fell on deaf ears. The point, ladies and gentlemen, is that if the Pope wants to promote a spirit of inclusion and dialogue in the Catholic Church, he might very well start with the people who were on his own payroll, who seem to feel, at least, that they have been dealt out of the process. Vatican law, by the way, makes a strike, what the Italians call the sciopero, illegal. But that doesn't mean there aren't other labor actions at the disposal of a disgruntled workforce. And especially during the Jubilee year, which has just opened up, this could definitely be a storyline to have your eye on.